Hello, everyone, and welcome to this expert talk. Today we have Denise Cambiotti. Hi, Denise. So lovely to have you here.
Wonderful to have you with your group. Inav, it's very special. Thank you.
Thank you. I am very excited about today's conversation, but I'm going to let you introduce yourself, introduce the topic, and we'll get started.
Okay. Well, I'm Denise Cambiotti. I live on the west coast of Canada, and I started a company called Muscle Tuners International in 2017. And the whole purpose that gets me up in the morning is, sometimes running a business is not a lot of fun, but the purpose is to help as many people in the world feel better emotionally and physically from the knowledge I have. It's not rocket science. It's easy for anybody to apply. I do tend to attract people who are already in the health and wellness field, like massage therapists, physiotherapists, even fitness trainers, energy workers. But my purpose of being with you today is also to share practical self-help knowledge and let people know that your body is amazing. It's probably the people that follow you are already into natural approaches and know that the body is amazing. And I believe I'll share a couple of things that nobody here knows yet.
Amazing, amazing. Now, I'm curious to know what got you started on this journey.
Well, I used to be an office worker. And one day in the very far north of Canada, I used to ride a van, a group. It was like a group taxi. We'd pick people up at a really horrible early hour, like 5:30 or 6 in the morning, and take us an hour's drive to get to work by 7. And I'd be sitting in the van like this, trying to catch up on just a little bit of sleep because it was dark and it was cold. And the rest of the van, they were all oil field workers, lab workers working out in the oil field. And hello, here I'm going out there. And I developed a crick in my neck, and pain relievers weren't helping. I also had incredible headaches. It took about a year of taking pain relievers 3 or 4 times a day to figure out the pain relievers weren't dealing with the headache. I was completely new to the idea of natural approaches, but that neck thing, that really was bothering me. So I went to see a chiropractor. And this guy, what an angel on earth. His secretary or, front desk person, she took me aside before my first visit and she says, put your arm out like this and stretch it out and turn your thumb down. And now I'm going to push down and you try to hold. And I couldn't hold it. And she wasn't pushing hard. And she did that for all kinds of muscles, right side, left side of my body, top to bottom. And she was making notes. I get ushered in to see the chiropractor and he says, all of this is connected. And I'm going, really? Legs, arms. And he says, what you wrote in your history, that you've got recurring headaches, you've got neck pain, you have had recurring bladder infections, and you suffer from constipation since you were a kid. And I went, yeah, like, doesn't everybody have headaches and constipation? It's like, come on. But the connecting the headaches with the gut, I thought he was nuts when he said they're all connected. But anyways, he did his chiropractic thing, and then he checked all those muscles again. And now didn't matter which muscle he tested, all of them, I felt strong like bull. And I thought to myself in that very moment, this is what I want to do when I grow up. And I was about 28 years old. And where I was living in the far north, that wasn't going to happen. But I eventually moved to a place in Canada where I was walking by a library and I saw a poster that said, learn how to muscle test. And I went, you don't have to be a chiropractor to do muscle testing. So I got myself into that class and it just took off from there. The whole subject just called to my soul. And I've spent many years, many thousands of hours in class, never mind how many You know why they say doctors go to their practice? Is because when you apply your knowledge, you're really just practicing on people. So countless hours of working in my clinic and deciding more people need to know how to do this. and they don't need to take 5, 6, 7 years to pull a system together to make a positive change right away. So that's where I came from, and that's where I am now, is teaching online. And in about 24 hours, you have significant skills that you can use in a professional wellness setting, or just learn it because you want to learn it, because you want to help your friends and family.
So what is the actual benefit of this thing that you are going to talk to us about? I mean, I know that for me, I use muscle testing in my work when I connect with people and I find yes, no answers. But then I also release whatever it is that I'm finding. But I have a feeling that you're doing similar but different.
Exactly. I love it. Same, but different. Yes, sometimes we use a muscle test to show, yeah, I'm comfortable with that. That's a yes response. And if there's a change, it usually indicates stress or a no. But I teach people to test muscles from head to foot. So this muscle, if it unlocks, is telling me maybe there's a problem with this muscle that's holding the head in this position, which is very important. You know, the muscles in the front of the neck, the back of the neck, sides of the neck, and so on and so forth through the whole body. And the message I love getting out in the world is every muscle is connected to an organ or a gland through the meridian system of the body. So Chinese acupuncture, it's almost like getting an acupuncture session without using any needles. We unblock the energy using mostly acupressure points. Some of them are different kinds of reflexes that are connected to the nervous system, but it's all very gentle touch, usually, that we activate with. And when we get the energy flowing in the meridian and we check the muscle again, it's very easy to hold. Whereas a minute ago, maybe it was like, and that's literally all it takes, about a minute to check and fix these muscles from head to foot. And if I can say anything, is when you get your energy released, the energy blockage is released, you get greater vitality, you get greater calmness. You instantly are stronger. And the coolest thing is, if you're in a rehabilitation program because you've had an injury, or you're going to the gym to get fit, and you're like pushing the weights and you're doing the thing that you've been told to do, and you get nowhere. You can't even lift an extra pound of weight after a couple of weeks of doing this. Your brain's not connected to your body. But when you activate these points, the muscles wake up, and then any activity you do, your body will respond. And who doesn't want a little bit of that?
Right, absolutely. So how do you, someone comes to you, what is kind of the first thing that you do? How do you figure out what is actually going on there?
Okay. So the neat thing is people can see me live in person here in my office, and they can also meet with me on Zoom. And usually one of the very first things we have to do is connect the brain to the body. We check to make sure, I know you walked in the door or showed up on the Zoom room, and you want to make sure that when we do the muscle testing, that we're going to get honest and accurate results. So that's where we start. And then depending on what the person needs, we will select one approach or another. There's multiple types of approaches. And every session is different, because when we fix these muscles, then there might be secondary muscles that need to come in. And sometimes you've gone and done an injury to yourself, and we have to spend more time in an area. And this injury could have been a long time ago or more recent. I mean, every session is customized. So I have a difficult time in actually answering your question, but it all starts with waking up the brain-body connection. And I'm wondering if I could share that with everybody today.
Absolutely. Yes.
All right. So there are very key acupuncture points under the nose, under the bottom lip, here, under the edges of the collarbone, on the just beside your breastbone. There's points there in that muscle area. And there's a point on your tailbone, just about like where your tailbone connects to your sacrum. And I'll just stand up and model this. I'll go off earphones. So I hope the sound quality is okay.
The belly button is an acupuncture point. So when we continue working today, please keep a hand on your belly button. In other parts, they're known as the navel. And then you're going to want to take a thumb and 2 fingers. You're going to want to find your inner edges of the bone here, your collarbone, and drop down so that you're on top of a muscle, not on the bone. And you see how I'm just rolling, rubbing in a little round manner like that? That's all you need to activate an acupressure point. And don't press too hard so you feel pain. Some people, this is very tender. And if it is, you've got a blockage there. So just lighten up and you're going to keep rubbing. Now, I'm going to invite you to switch hands. If you can manage to do the switch hands, that's a bonus. You want to do about 10 seconds with one, 10 seconds with the other, or about a total of 20 seconds altogether. Now, when you rub this point on the right side of the body and the point with the left side of the body, you are actually encouraging messages from the right side of the brain to communicate with the left side of the body. You're also activating how the right side of the body communicates with the muscles on the opposite side, and this brain is communicating with muscles on the opposite side. So it's really great for physical coordination, and it helps you with focus and concentration. So many benefits, so simple. So keeping one hand on the navel, continue with 2 fingers pressed together like so, and a thumb, and you're going to rub just directly below your nose and under your lower lip. So you're kind of making a sandwich out of your lips, and you're just going to rub side to side. And this may feel odd. However, I can't tell you how important it is to do this. And then we're going to switch hands and repeat with the other fingers now rubbing. Notice that these points are stacked up one on top of the other. This helps your limbic system and your brain stem connect to the cortical centers of your brain. So this helps with movements if you trip going up and down stairs, for example. And it's just really helping the limbic system runs, your breathing, your heart rate, your digestion, all that subconscious stuff. You don't say, gee, it's time for the stomach to churn and digest that food right now. You're not even aware of it. Your limbic system is helping take care of that. It also helps process emotions. So more on emotions with the next point. Keep your hand on your navel and activate right by your tailbone. You can do this sitting in a chair. You can do it standing up. And if your shoulder on one side works better than the other, that's fair. But we're going to take a deep breath. We're going to switch hands. And if you can, activate that with the other hand. The reason we switch hands is because polarity, just like a battery has voltage, a positive and negative terminal, to allow the energy to flow. It's very important. And the Chinese also believe in yin and yang. And that's all about the flow of going one way and then coming back around. So I made a fatal mistake. Well, it's not fatal. I wish I'd asked the people on the call before this to tune into their level of vitality or discomfort in their body. And when I demonstrate this typically at master classes, I insist that people take a measurement. We've just done that. Can you tune into your body now and ask yourself, how is my vitality now? How's my alertness? And if you had some discomfort somewhere in your body, has it changed? So very, very frequently, in fact, quite reliably, people's vitality already goes up by doing this little activity, taking a minute to do it. I did talk a little bit about digestion. So I think the theme for today that we publicized was, I was going to show you some unconventional approaches to improve digestion. Shall I carry on with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. As I mentioned, every muscle is connected to an organ. The chewing starts the digestive process off, and when we swallow, hits the stomach. That's an organ. And so the organ of the stomach, it produces acid at its most strong is between 7 and 9 a.m. And this acid helps to break down proteins. So for health, it's good to know if you're going to do a lot of proteins, do not eat your steak dinner at 7 p.m. Eat it between 7 and 9 a.m. Have your protein like a farmer first thing in the morning. Your stomach has the maximum amount of digestive juices to go after it then and continue supporting you through the day. Now, there is a muscle, and every muscle, you could lift a bag of potatoes or box, carry things around. What I want to show you is if you isolate one muscle from all its friends that help you lift up a bag of potatoes, for example, and you say, how's it doing? If I was muscle testing you, I would ask you to, if you don't have an issue with your shoulder, raise your arm, if you can, level with your shoulder, right in front of your body, just like this, and turn your thumb downwards. And this contracts one of the pec muscles. And if I tested you, I would put gentle pressure there and try to push through the range of motion. And if the muscles connected to the brain, I could push, and nothing happens. But because I'm not there to test you in person, you can activate the muscle yourself just by moving it like this, like you're swimming through the water. So don't go too far, just go to the side of your body and notice how that one arm feels. Make sure your thumb is down and you come down at 45 degrees and you stop by the side of your body, or your hand is not beside your hip, still out here at the end of your arm, but that's the motion. So notice how that felt. Did it feel easy? Did it feel rusty? Did it feel heavy? Did you feel like there was something else pulling or hurting somewhere in your body when you did that action? Because all we want to focus on is how is this muscle doing right here? There's a muscle on the clavicle, attaches there. And when you do that, that is the muscle we're checking into. Now, raise your other arm straight in front of your shoulder if you can. Turn your thumb so your palm is facing outwards. Relax the shoulder and let that arm drop down 45 degrees. Bring it back. Reset it and make this motion at least 4 or 5 times. This is activating the brain to, hello, don't normally move my arm exactly like that. And it's checking into the pectoralis major clavicular muscle. Usually people feel that one side feels different than the other. And sometimes with this muscle, people say, I think it's fine. Look, it feels fine, equal to me. What we're going to do is, whether you think you need this or not, you're going to rub a reflex, and it is located between the 5th and 6th ribs, and it is only on the left side of the body. Perfect. Make sure you're only on the left. And if you're a woman, you wear a brassiere, this is where the underwire or the bottom of the brassiere would reach on your torso. We're going to take our thumb probably and use the whole side of our hand to activate that reflex all the way from the center, all the way, we can reach close to the midline of the body where the side seam is on your shirt or your sweater. And we're going to give that a rub. So this is a way of sending lymphatic fluid to the stomach muscles. It's the nervous system saying, hello, make sure you're sending lymph there. It's a way of waking up the stomach to do its job. So whether you do it after breakfast, after lunch, or after dinner, this is a way of stimulating the stomach to do digestion more easily. Now, I grew up on the east part of Canada and in a country, in a province, where everybody after a meal would light up a cigarette. And it turns out that nicotine helps to make the stomach churn. Well, what if you were trying to quit smoking, but you found that your digestion was getting worse? You could simply rub this spot firmly without causing you pain for at least 20 or preferably 30 seconds. Now, just do it because it's good for you. But this is the fun part. Let's remeasure. Bring the one arm in front of your shoulder again, turn the thumb down, and make that motion again. And notice if anything feels different for you. And after you've gotten a chance to check that out, raise your opposite arm, turn the thumb down, and make that motion. I don't know about you, but I noticed the first time I did it, my shoulder wanted to hike up next to my ear on the one side. And now I don't have to think at all. My shoulders face down and my arms feel more like they are gliding. Is anybody on? I know you're all muted, but can I get a thumbs up if it felt better on one side than the other side? Yeah, very good. So it felt better on one side for one person. The other person says, no real change. That's okay. And when we connect our brain and body together more and more, we become sensitive to, oh, it felt lighter, or it felt less. I didn't have to think about it so much. When we notice something, the brain goes, gee, that was good for me. I think I'll remember that next time you rub that spot under the left breast. I know it's helping the stomach muscle as an organ, and it's helping the pectoralis major clavicular muscle. And another bonus for this muscle opposes the muscles between your shoulder blades. So I won't take the time, I don't think, today to also teach you the other pec muscle. It's larger. It's connected to the liver. Well, you know what? Let's do it. I mentioned it. Arm straight ahead. It's still a pec muscle. We're going to turn our thumb down. And this time the range of motion is going up and away. So just do that gently a few times. And then lower your arm and compare it to the other side. Is there a pulling anywhere in your body? Because this should be just the only muscle we're working is the one that's connected to the sternum, this bone right here. So what we're going to do for that one, it's connected to the, it's connected to the liver. The liver's on the right side of the body. So this is the mate to the stomach. We do exactly the same thing on the right side. We're going to activate that for at least 20 seconds. 30 seconds is better. Now, if you activate the pectoralis major muscle, they are opposite of the muscles in the back. So who gets that pain in the back, that tension between their shoulder blades? You know why that happens for some people is because those muscles are trying to hold you upright. They're trying to do the work all by themselves. You got to get these guys helping. When these guys are switched on again, these guys get to go, oh, that feels better. So often you get a relaxation, less pain, less discomfort by working on something not here. We work in another area that you might not have suspected was part of the issue. So let's remeasure. How does that go? Raising the arm up and down, out to the side, start forward of the shoulder, thumb down, and it just seems easier, especially on one side for me. Does anybody else have feedback? Yes, no difference, no difference. It doesn't even feel lighter or easier. Well, congratulations. I suspect that you're already living a pretty healthy life then. I have something.
Definitely feel difference. Definitely.
Did you?
Yeah, absolutely. On my left was easier than the right.
Fabulous. So that is supporting either your stomach and your liver, and it's also helping the opposing muscle. It's helping digestion. Now, really, really important, I'm going to show you a third muscle, and this is the small intestine related muscle. A lot of us have digestive issues in the gut, and from the stomach, it goes to the small intestine. It's a very direct connection. And to get the brains connecting to, hey, I'm about to do something for the small intestine, it's simple. You can do this sitting in your chair, but I will stand up and show you. You're just going to raise your knee up like you're going to go up a big step, and you're going to move it down. Just let it go up and down. We're activating the quadricep muscles. And I'm noticing a bit of a pull. Sorry, my mother always said, don't cut your head off in pictures. There you go. Up and down. Just, you can do that sitting in a chair. You can do that standing up. And today, that's odd. I do feel a little more tension than I normally do. These points are similar but different to the first ones. Find your rib cage, the bottom of your rib cage, and find where the rib cage ends. And that's what you want to rub. Looks like this, all the way from the center. Oh, you know what? There's a spot there that's really tender. I wonder if that's why my muscle's tender. So let's just do that together. This is a fabulous activity to do, not only to help the intestine work better, but if you know anybody that struggles with sitting up or getting up from sitting, that's better language. If you know anybody like that, if you know anybody that has difficulty walking steps, going up the stairs, if you know just even walking involves lifting that muscle, not as high, but you need to lift that leg. This helps bring more strength to the muscle, as well as supporting the intestine in its function. So go ahead now and remeasure. I've got no more tension in that muscle left. That tension is gone for me. And I'll turn sideways, back up. It's that simple. It's a natural range of motion activity.
So a lot of people
personally.
Sorry, I was just going to ask, a lot of people suffer from constipation, for example. So would they be doing this exercise and feel that things are a little bit easier to go around?
That could help. When it comes to constipation specifically, I'm going to show two more reflexes that really help the valve between the small and the large intestine. Right? So now we go from the small intestine to the large intestine. You pulled some bonus information out of me. This one, you're going to rub a reflex along the inner part of your thigh. This is very easy to do when you're sitting down. And you can, when you're sitting down, you can use the fist, the side, anything you want to give that a good rub. You're going to do both sides. And like both the right and the left. And then I'm going to raise my left leg up. You also rub the entire outside of your thigh, that whole zone. So this does help with stimulating bowel movements. And when I get to heaven, I'm going to ask my mother, because I know she's there and I hope I go there too. I'm going to say, why did you teach me this when I was about 8 years old? How did you ever know that rubbing? She says, if you're having a hard time, because did you go to the bathroom today? Did you go to the bathroom today? And I don't know. I'm a kid. I'm running around like a tomboy. So she made me go sit in the toilet. And she said, can't go. You're going to rub like this. And she passed away when I was much younger than now, and I never had a chance once I learned this reflex to say, Mom, how did you ever, like, where did you learn that? So that can help with digestion as well. The ones on the outside connect to the large intestine specifically. And I have one more thing. I love offering information. So we got somebody going, yay. So how many of us are stressed? Life's kind of challenging now, right? No, I don't know anybody who's not stressed. Okay, so it turns out, how often do you see somebody that goes, oh my goodness, when they get bad news? Did you know that you have acupuncture points right above the colored part of your eye, right above your forehead, like on the bone where it's like the bump? And you could just take 2 fingers like that and touch like this, and you don't even rub, and it's halfway between your eyebrow and your hairline. Or you can just put your hand like this and relax. There's 2 tricks to this. You know, with every little technique, there's always a little trick. Ask my Italian mother-in-law, what does she do to that sauce when I'm not looking? So the trick is holding lightly. Very, 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 as lightly as you can. And the second is you keep breathing. A lot of people, when they're stressed, they kind of stop their breathing, or that stops right up here in the upper chest. So breathe deeply. And if you want to make this work even better, just visualize or feel or hear, however you sense, the thing that's causing you stress. I had somebody worried about going to the dentist the following day, and all she did before she went, she held her forehead like this, and she thought about walking in the dentist's door, the office door, and hearing the sounds and smelling the smells and sitting in the chair and going, oh, I hate being here. And then imagining opening her upper jaw and stuff is happening. And she realized that after she'd done this, just visualizing it for about 30 seconds to a minute, and she went to the dentist appointment, she was at the front desk paying for her appointment after she had seen the dentist, before realizing that was not even stressful at all. I cannot tell you how many stories like that is a very light stress. I've seen musicians, kids learning. Over here we have the Royal Conservatory Music and Piano, and they have exams and they have adjudicators, and you're in a room full of people who've been doing piano since they were 3 years old maybe, and you have to play your piece. And visualizing playing perfectly from start to finish the night before competition, they aced it and they got a gold certificate. And they said, my father will never believe I got this, because I've never done better than bronze, no matter how hard I tried. And up to the time I actually gave this, I have never played that piece of music without a fault. Never. I always trip over 2 or 3 parts of the music. So how great was that? Just visualizing the playing, standing up and bowing, made a huge, huge, profound difference for that young man. And I've seen this for many stressful, traumatic type things. And I don't recommend that you just go off and imagine you're going to clear yourself of a major traumatic event, but you can peel off little bits at a time, thinking a little bit about one aspect of something that upset you, about something that's happened. You can peel it off a little bit at a time and help yourself. And the reason you want to get stress out of your body is when you're stressed, you don't digest. So that's a very brief approach of different things that we do as muscle tuner specialists to support people. We usually do in-person live muscle testing, where you go, wait a minute, I was trying to hold my leg, I was trying to hold my arm. And so it's just eye-opening when we go rub here, or we rub here, or like we have 7 different corrections that we use that help the vascular system bring blood flow, nutrition, and oxygen to tissues. The lymphatics, which is what I showed you today, the lymph helps to clear residual junk that's stuck in tissues. We teach corrections that help the electrical flow, and clear emotions that have been trapped in not only muscles, but tendons and ligaments and fascia. And, it's just my world, my yummy world. I know it doesn't interest everybody, but people continually are surprised. I saw a guy in Mexico, no, he was in Costa Rica, and he had a pain in the neck, and the chiropractor had helped him, the physiotherapist had helped them. But in fact, they started up a few other little active little owies. And he said, you do have muscles, I need to see you. And he was absolutely shocked, actually. He said, pleasantly surprised that the pain went away. And not only that, but before, all he could do was lift his head this far. And then he was able, within minutes, to turn his head and like do all the range of motion with his neck in under an hour session. So that's why I do it, because when somebody like that's out in the world, being recognizing their potential, being able to get through life without pain relievers, they function better, and the people in their lives are happier too. So that pretty much sums up what I had to share for your class today.
That's amazing. And I like what you said about, well, I liked everything you said, but I was noticing when you said about when you stress, you don't digest. And I was just going to say that a lot of the time, what I'm finding in my work with people suffering from chronic pain, chronic illnesses, that a lot of the time the fear of the pain is what is causing the stress. So I wanted to actually ask if you have anything that you can share of how to, maybe it depends on where the pain is, I don't know, but how can people be more, when they notice that the pain is there and they're so worried about the pain that the stress is really what causes the pain to stay, what can they do to dissociate or to disengage from the pains that way? Just this one.
This emotional stress diffusion technique. I can't stop thinking about the pain. I can't stop worrying that the pain might never leave me, or the pain's gone for a while, but I can't trust that it won't come back. Now, let's say it's a pain in a specific part of the body. Let's say it is here in the chest, like this muscle, you strain the muscle. Put a hand there, put the other hand on the forehead. Breathe, and just ask your dear unconscious mind to help you unpack the stress that's been trapped here under your hand.
Mm-hmm.
There are techniques that we teach that specifically help let go of fear. That's part of our proprietary techniques, but you can do a fair, reasonable workman job of holding this and being persistent and considering different types of fear, different types of stress, touching the area that's causing the discomfort. That's very, very, very helpful. Take it by pieces, a little bit at a time. And when it comes to fear, realize there's different kinds of fear. There's fear of loss, there's fear of death, there's fear of being embarrassed, there's all kinds of fears.
Yeah.
So while you do it, wonder if it's a specific kind of fear you're holding, and if it will come to mind to say, can we please release that? And keep holding these points. And typically when you feel a pulse happening under these points here, you're done. You've processed, and it can be rather faster than you expect.
Amazing. Amazing. And I just want to ask one more question before we open the stage for other people's questions. But someone on one of my Facebook groups, she was talking about migraines, and she said she used to have lots of migraines, and now she's pregnant. She said first trimester the migraines were there, second trimester they were not there, and now that she's nearly due, the migraines come back and they're very vicious. And so I was talking I was answering because just saying that migraines are a lot of the time associated with being all in your head, thinking that you can control outcomes and things like that, just answering from that theory point of view. But you mentioned that headaches are a lot of the time connected to the gut, and I was wondering if you could expand a little bit more on that.
Right. Well, some people have heard of the term leaky gut, and some doctors go, there's no such thing as a leaky gut, because your whole peritoneum would be full of gunk and you'd be dying and you'd be very, very ill. But leaky gut literally means sometimes the tissues of the intestines are more porous to more substances than they ought to be. So when you're digesting properly, your intestines are breaking things down into small, small components, bits of protein, bits of like enzymes. There's different little bits that have to go through the cell wall of the intestine, where there's a part where it's porous, and it gets into the blood supply, and that blood goes to the liver, and the liver then processes things and says, you two bits, you get together and you go build a new muscle, and you're going to create a hormone, and you're going, so the liver is doing about 750 different jobs. And when the liver gets clogged up with stuff that should not be there, you tend to get toxic, if that's a term from the natural health field. That's one of the reasons we can become toxic. And when you're toxic, you tend to get headaches, and sometimes very vicious headaches. That is one way where the headaches can be connected to gut imbalances. There are others. There are many others, but that is a really simple answer. That you need to heal your gut. There's lots of herbs and things you can take to clear colonies of inappropriate bacteria and fungi out of your gut, replenish it with human healthy microbiome flora. Sometimes it's a little more complicated than just taking some acidophilus. And sometimes it's getting the right variety of like bifidobacterium, or there's different types of probiotics. So sometimes you just have to get the right type or the right blend. And you have to heal those tissues where they're too porous, and it's got to come back to the size of only what's allowed and should be in the body is getting through. But also with pregnancy, with headaches, a lot of times it's these muscles in the front of the neck are not carrying their share of the load, because the head's about 20 pounds. So these guys back here tighten up to help you hold your head. And what are we all doing right now with our phones? We're always down like that. These muscles are working way too hard. And what they can do up here is they literally can pinch a little bit where the blood supply is going to feed the brain. So that's not good. If you don't get enough blood up there, your brain's going to start crying. And you mentioned an interesting history with this woman. And because she had them, they went away and they came back. I suspect it's partly hormonal. So the liver does a big job of balancing hormones of the body. So rub that liver point after any meal. It could maybe be the trick she needs.
Amazing. But I wanted to ask, so is part of what you do is also to help find how to correct leaky guts, or how to get on the detox, or that kind of stuff, or is that something that you would?
Thank you. No, that's beyond our scope of practice. We're not doctors. We're not diagnosing. We're not treating anything a doctor has suggested is out of balance with somebody. We just help bring the body back to balance by balancing muscles that help the meridians that coincidentally might help the organs. That's our approach. And we can't say, oh, this muscle's unlocked and this muscle's unlocked. Your liver's in trouble, baby. It's just crazy. All that's saying is maybe the muscle's in trouble. Maybe one of the acupuncture points has been blocked. Maybe the liver itself, yes, it has been struggling, but we can't diagnose just on a muscle test. So basically, we muscle tuners, that's the scope of practice. I don't teach about nutritional stuff. I've learned there's other muscle testing classes where they'll say, if this muscle's not doing so great, how about you hold this next to your body, this bottle of something or other, and then they check, nope, that didn't help, and let's try this other supplement or herb. Oh, look at that. That made the muscle change. And then you should definitely make sure the person's not sensitive, have a sensitivity, intolerance, so-called allergy to something that gets recommended. And that's outside our scope of practice, but there are many people who use muscle testing for that reason. And they've had appropriate training to do that for the most part. There's a lot of people that do it just for friends and family, and there are people that do it professionally usually have a very good background. So thanks for differentiating. That's another use of muscle testing. And there's hundreds of branches on the muscle testing tree. It's really great. Somebody's come up with a schematic, and there's the names of all these different modalities that have grown out of what started with the applied kinesiology doctors. Thank you, Dr. George Goodhart, for being curious why certain little accidents in your clinic were causing positive changes for people, figuring it out, teaching it to other chiropractors, teaching them how to do muscle testing, which was first explored by physiotherapists. And the applied kinesiology doctors, they put together that if this is out of balance and you touch this reflex, it helps to clear the problem. And I grow on the shoulders of researchers, many, countless researchers in the field.
Amazing. Well, Denise, I understand that we didn't even scratch the tip of the iceberg here. And I really appreciate you coming here and sharing with us, just giving us a little bit of insight into your world and your wisdom. Thank you so much. I'm going to put your information, of course, anywhere where people can find the chat, they can find your information. And I hope people reach out and ask for more. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
You're so very welcome. Please do follow the link. The website has a section for free tips anybody can use. I also run twice a month. There are masterminds where you can come interact very specifically on a number of things, where I continue to share all these kinds of tips. So I run those as well, of course, on top of the program that I sell, where you can call yourself a licensed, registered, we have a registered trademark, but they can call themselves a licensed muscle tuner specialist. And for some people, it could be the avenue of them saying, I want to start a new career. Like Denise used to be a secretary, and look what she's doing now, just because you care, you are have an interest in health, and you work with the love in your heart. So thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to your group and being on your site.
Thank you. Thank you very much.